So I wanted to go through at least a bit of a tutorial with the PhET fluid flow simulation, just so you can kind of easily see what's available. So this should be on Schoology. I'm giving you a hard copy, but essentially if you click this, it should open. This is using an older program, Java, not JavaScript or anything like that, and so it uses an adaptation to do that. So it may go a little bit slow in your on your computers. So essentially what we've got here is we've got several different parts. There's pressure, flow, water tower, things like that. So part A is fluid pressure. So we're opening the simulation. So the variables you can change are density, which is down here. You could change gravity, shape of the container, and whether or not there's an atmosphere. So a grid is nice. Oh, we use metric units, so that's pascals. They're using 101,000 pascals. You can put a ruler in here. You could move the ruler around, things like that. And you can choose different shapes. So I've got this, 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 and so forth. So essentially, you can put gauges at different locations also. So here's this without an atmosphere, and that's how you could turn that off. There's no pressure. That would be deadly. And then you put it here. It goes up a little bit or changes a little bit with elevation, which is kind of annoying. And then we do something like this, or it ends up heading down. So this is an example, a really good simulation, I think. And you can put multiple of these pressure gauges around. I'll have something like that. So again, then you can change the density of the fluid. You could change gravity. You could change whether there's an atmosphere or not. Something like that. Okay. And then if you do want to reset things, I think you should be able to do that. Usually there's something like that. Okay, I'm just going to go over to here. Well, if nothing else, you can get out of that and you could reset. I thought normally they did that. That might be something that's weird. You could change the shape of the container as well. So I'll have atmosphere on, I'll have ruler, grid, fluid density, things like that. Another thing that, again, you can do is you could have water flowing in to change the depth if you want. You could have water going out that goes out more or less. I honestly wouldn't do that with this, just because the next part of it's gonna do that as well. So then if you go to the next part, which is flow, you've got these little dots. You could have additional dots to think of as streamlines. So here you could figure out the speed of something. You can change the flow rate. I'll make that, you can type in here, so I'll make that 5,000 again. Oops. Okay. You could put multiple different speed things in there. You could put pressure things in there. And again, just like before, above and below makes a bit of a difference. You don't want friction. You can at some point have the flux meter, but the only thing we're interested in with that is the flow rate. And you can change the fluid density in this case as well. So I'm going to get rid of the flux meter. This one actually does have a reset all, which is kind of interesting. So in this particular case, like I say, I will show dots as well. You can change some things in here. You want to control variables. You want to also think about how you could change the shape. So it could flow basically slower in certain spots than others. So like if you want to measure pressure here, the problem is it's a little tough to have the same elevation, right? So if you want to, you could do something like this, I'm going to move this down here. You could have it get super narrow in certain spots also. So there's ways to play around with that. The flux, again, all we're interested with that is the flow rate. I'm going to reset all those. Then finally, the last part's the water tower. So again, you can measure some things. You could have fill. You can either have manual fill. Oops, hold on. You can make this taller or shorter. You can open this to let things out. And you should be able to change the rate of that filling. So if that can't do that, that's a problem with the water tower. And that may be a problem with the water tower. That may be because it's there we go. You could match the leakage to keep the height the same. Things like that. I don't know why it didn't work at first, but it seems like it's working now. The manual. And again, you can measure some different things here. You can measure the speed right after it comes out. You can use a ruler to set things up. I do think you're probably going to want to match things most of the time. So, and again, you can change the density as well. Here, I like the fact that, again, you can reset all. You can also do slow motion. So hopefully that helps, and you can go through the different simulations. If for some reason this doesn't work for you, let me know ahead of class.